There are so many birth stories to be read, but the power of listening to and reading positive and empowering birth stories as you prepare your mind and body to meet your little one is incredible. Birth really is a whole body experience that requires as much, if not more, psychological preparation as it does physical. And your birth is not merely one day, it's an experience that stays with you forever. So preparing is really important to having a positive experience, regardless of the twists and turns that may crop up. There is no right or wrong way to birth. Hospital birth, home birth, water birth, epidural birth, an induced birth, vaginal birth, forceps birth, or caesarean birth. They can all be empowering and truly positive experiences. I am so honoured to be joined by the lovely Em today to chat about her birth experience. Em is a personal trainer and founder of Surrey Studio at the Barn KT9. Em specialises in pre and postnatal training and is passionate about making sure women feel strong throughout their pregnancy and beyond. In the past year, Emma's experienced what it feels like herself as she gave birth to her daughter Olive in November 2020. Em and all of her brilliant exercise motivation, as well as her pregnancy and postpartum journey, can be found on her Instagram page at on_point_training and is also linked in this episode bio. So welcome, Em, and thank you so much for taking time to join us today, despite having a little Olive and a business to look after.
Thanks for having me. How are you?
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, it's a strange world that we are navigating at the moment, and I'm sure you're feeling the impact of that as a brand new mum, especially a first-time mum. I think it's harder.
Yeah, it's not quite the maternity leave I expected, or early stages, but hey ho, that's just the kind of time we're in at the moment, isn't it?
Definitely, and I feel like I've hugely taken advantage of that, Em, so that because you can't be out training all your wonderful mums, I've stolen you for an hour to chat about your experience. So COVID's helped me in that way, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think there are only so many walks I can go on with Olive, so I'm happy to be doing something different. Yeah,
brilliant. Well, it's lovely to chat to you now. Your pregnancy was probably largely during lockdown, whether it was 1, 2 or 3, I suppose. How was that for you? How did you manage?
I think that's what sums it up. I actually found out I was pregnant the day before the first lockdown. So
wow.
I've been pregnant the whole time. Well, pregnant the whole time and had a baby the whole time. It was an interesting time, and it was good in the sense that you could keep it quiet, so you didn't have to pretend you were drinking gin without tonic without the gin on like Zoom calls, and what felt like a massive bump, even though it really wasn't very big at that stage. I mean, I don't think I showed until about 30 weeks, but hiding that behind a computer screen was good. But again, like it was hard because we didn't really see anyone. So I think across the whole of my pregnancy, I saw my parents, my sister twice, which was quite tough, really. And then since Olive's been born, they've seen her when she was 6 days old. So, but yeah, I mean, I think because of everything going on, I am not seeing friends and family and kind of celebrating the fact you're pregnant because you didn't feel like it was validated. So you didn't have like the whole celebration, and I think you kind of my whole attitude was just to kind of like keep calm and carry on, and like the whole British sense, because that was kind of the nation's vibe. So I just threw myself into my work, which was great because we got so much done here because we moved here in December 2018, no, 2019 even, trying to think of the years now, and there's like lots of projects going on here, which is really exciting. But once kind of that home straight hit, I kind of felt really guilty that I'd kind of had like almost what felt like a secret pregnancy, and that I hadn't really given it enough thought or really enjoyed it. So yeah, it was kind of hard. But then I guess, how can you enjoy a pregnancy in lockdown, really?
It's hard, isn't it? Because I think when we imagine kind of maternity leave in that prenatal period, you kind of think of yourself going for coffee mornings with other mums and browsing the shops with this extra time that you wouldn't have otherwise had. And so I definitely feel like if I was you, I would feel like that was kind of stolen from me a little bit, that kind of experience. And hopefully, I mean, let's hope that after this lockdown 3.0, you might be able to start embracing a little bit of that when you can and taking some of it back.
Yeah, I was really, I had big hopes on my maternity leave, because like, as soon as 2021 hits, life's going to be back to normal, right? No. I'm really lucky because the class that I teach here, the prenatal class that I taught at the barn, which is literally right outside my house, met a group of lovely ladies. All our babies were due within 3 weeks of each other, or born within 3 weeks of each other. So we were all really close, and I had high hopes of just being able to walk across the road and go to like my postnatal class, because I had someone taking classes while I was off, but obviously that's not happening. But I cannot wait to not be walking in drizzly rain and to sit inside a cafe having brunch and chatting to people. But then I guess the positive is at least we're all staying fit and active and getting all our fresh air. But no, I just cannot wait to go to like baby sensory classes. I think we tried like a baby massage the other day online, which was interesting. But yeah.
Yeah, it's all those nice things, isn't it, that especially as a first-time mum are really important, and you need that support network. So that's amazing that you've got people around you. And I know lots of people are reaching out for kind of virtual support networks as well if they haven't got people in their kind of immediate community. But it's definitely different challenges to navigate that we probably couldn't have anticipated.
Yeah, it's been interesting, but no, do you know what? I think I'm so grateful that I've also got friends that have had babies. There's quite a few of us around similar time, and if I didn't have those people, I don't know how I'd cope. Like, it is like having a baby is isolating in itself, like let alone in a national lockdown. It's really hard.
Definitely. Now, Em, I know from watching you do all of your amazing exercise preparations on Instagram and your kind of active, healthy lifestyle, that physical exercise really is a part of you, isn't it? It's ingrained in your kind of DNA, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I know you did that throughout pregnancy, regardless of kind of lockdowns. You adapted and found new ways. And do you think that kind of helped you prepare kind of physically or even psychologically for the birth that you had?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, it helped me stay sane, I think. It was like time for me. And also throughout pregnancy, it kind of helped keep, can't get my words out these days, helped keep all those aches and pains at bay, because with pregnancy, lower back pain creeps in, and hip pain and pelvic girdle pain and all those wonderful things. So exercise helped keep that mostly at bay. But also, like, I think at the end of the day, birth is a very physical event. It's probably like the hardest thing your body can do, regardless of what type of birth you have. It kind of involves stepping out of those comfort zones, and also if you're in for a long birth, it's quite a long endurance event, really. So exercise kind of helps you, I think it kind of helped me mentally kind of think, right, this is going to be tough, and it helped keep my body strong to be able to deal with that. Because you hear all these stories of people going, and then it just gets to the point where they're just too tired to push. So I think it just helps you at that point. And also, I think because a lot of my work is done with core and pelvic floor, like, although it's lots of strength training, it's all like that, how we're thinking about the core and pelvic floor as well through the exercise. And I think knowing how to relax that, and then also having a stronger deep core, I think may have helped push all of that. I mean, the ins and outs of birth I'm not like too clued up on, but I'm guessing like having that just helped get the contractions, get all about, because her head was born and then suddenly her body came in that same big contraction. So yeah.
Amazing. It's such a good point, Em. I think we really underestimate how much of an endurance and demand on your body labour and birth are. And I always say to women that birth is literally like a marathon. And maybe this is because I'm a runner, but in my head, I think you wouldn't sign up for a marathon and then think, right, for the next 9 months, I'm going to put my feet up and drink tea and eat cake. And I'm not saying that tea and cake's a bad thing. I'm a big advocate of that. but we've got this 9-month preparation to try and get our bodies functioning in a way that's going to support that journey. And it's so valuable. And I know we spoke before a little bit about how once you've got a baby, you've got to lift this sort of weight of your baby, and they're not going to help you. So you've got that, you've got toys to pick up off the floor, you've got like prams and carry cots that are the most rubbish design ever for your body, aren't they? You're always picking up with one hand or pushing something. So preparing in that way is really important too.
Exactly. I think, through motherhood, you're picking up a growing dumbbell. Like if you replace, Oliver's now 4.5 kilos, I think. And like if you're just carrying a 4.5 kilo dumbbell around, especially mostly on your front the whole time, you're rounding to like feed her, it's a lot for your back and your chest gets really tight. So just kind of being a bit more aware about posture or exercise throughout pregnancy will help with your posture postpartum as well. So that's really handy as well. But also like just going back to being active in pregnancy, like one thing I really wanted was an active labour. I almost thought about bringing my TRX, those like suspension things. So like if I was like going to like squat, I had like support if I needed it. But I was lucky enough to have my water birth, which was good. And then I guess it's just mentally as well, because like if you feel strong physically, you kind of feel a bit more strong mentally, you feel a bit more resilient and able to deal with whatever. Plus you also get to, a lot of my clients are pre and postnatal as well, so got to chat to them while training them. So
that's so true, isn't it? Our mind and body are so connected, and I think having that knowledge about how strong and functional your body is definitely helps you, I think, to trust it through that labour and birth process. How did you kind of feel during your pregnancy, Em, knowing that your body was kind of strong and capable?
I think because I've seen so many clients go through it, I was like, this is fine, this is normal, this is what happens, like up until probably about 28 weeks. And then as soon as I hit the 3rd trimester, I was like, this baby's got to get out of my body somehow. And you're suddenly like, oh my God, this is so unnerving. You get really, really, it was actually quite scary, but you're like, no, this is going to happen. So because it's such an unknown if you've not done it before. So I did Positive Birth Company, their hypnobirthing, and we watched it and I was like, great, that's how birth works. But then everyone was like, oh yeah, have you been practicing? And I was like, what are you meant to practice? And I realized it's all the breathing. I was like, okay, cool. That's great. And then, so I just take myself for walks and listen to the positive affirmations, which really helped me kind of get into the headspace, being like, okay, no, these are all things that other people feel, and these are meant to help me think that it's actually okay. But also understanding how the body gives birth and the way it works really, really helped me kind of get it clear in my head. So although it gets really uncomfortable, you're like, no, this is what the body is meant to do. I think there are 2 points in the final 2 weeks of pregnancy where I thought I was in labour, because suddenly my Braxton Hicks went up a level and I had back pain, and I was like, oh God. And then I was like, no, it's not, you'll know when it's coming. And then when it did come, I didn't really realise. So, yeah.
Brilliant. That's such a good point though, about when you understand the process of your body, it's less scary. And when it's less scary, it's less painful. And I'm so passionate about us kind of bridging that gap for women, because it's so empowering, isn't it, to know these incredible changes that your body's making and ways you can support it. And I try to think of like us having 2 types of pain in life. We've got that pathological scary pain that is when you like break your leg, or I don't know, you fall over and actually hurt yourself. And then you've got this physiological pain that is labour and birth, and actually it's normal, and it's not because there's a problem or we need to run away and be scared of it. It's something that we can try and embrace if we can.
Yeah. And I think that kind of goes back to exercise as well, because in order to progress, you have to push yourself out of those comfort zones. So things will get uncomfortable if you want to progress, because you're pushing for like if you're squatting like a heavier weight. And so you kind of have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Definitely. And labour's a little bit like interval training in a way, isn't it? Because your contraction will last a minute and then you have a gap. So it's just like doing a home workout, really.
Except it's so weird because as soon as the contraction goes, you feel perfectly normal.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it comes again and you're like, how can you go from 0 to 100 back down to 0 again?
Oh, it is amazing. So I know everyone listening really wants to hear how your birth went. So please tell us in your words, kind of your story.
Well, I think I might as well start. So Olive was born bang on her due date, but going back to 38 weeks, I had a growth scan, and she showed up with quite a large tummy. So they were like, oh, she looks like she's on the 98th centile. So I got referred to a consultant the following week. He was like, we're going to have to induce you on your due date. Don't want you going over, because there'll be a chance that the head will be born and the shoulders will get stuck. And it's telling me all about induction. And I got very, very nervous because the way he explained it, I was like, oh God, this sounds awful if it doesn't go to plan. So I had a lovely week of worrying, and he gave me a sweep and checked my cervix. He was like, no, still really high, 1 centimetre dilated, probably just going to go to that induction. So I was like, okay, great, woohoo. So that was on the Friday before she was born, like a week before. And then fast forward a week later, after lots of, oh, is this coming? No, I completely thought, right, let's just get on with life. She's not coming. I'm going to get induced. And then on the Thursday morning, I woke up needing a wee at 2 a.m. And for the whole pregnancy, I've been really, really lucky to not have to go to the loo in the middle of the night. Don't know how, don't know why, but I was like, this is weird. And I had a bit of back pain, and it happened before, and I knew that was part of labour, but I've had it previously, and I was like, no, it's just fake contractions again, just getting my hopes up. So I woke up in the morning, and then I went to the loo and I realised I'd lost my mucus plug, and I was like, oh, that's new. So and then thought, no, probably going to get induced tomorrow. And then throughout the day I noticed like this back pain like coming and going like every now and again, and then it got more and more frequent. So I was like, right, had the Freya app, so started tracking them about 3:30 in the afternoon. I thought, right, and then I realised, oh God, this is actually me going into labour. But I was like, okay. And then one of my friends was like, oh, I need to chat to you, it's been ages. So I had a video call with her at like 6 o'clock that evening. Sat there in my birth ball, bouncing up and down. And she's my best friend. And I was like, how are you? I was like, I think I'm in labour. She's like, what? And then I was going through contraction. I was like, because talking through the first few, and then it got to a point where I was like, I'm going to have to go, can't talk. And then, yeah, they were coming like every 10 minutes, come like 7 o'clock, and getting a lot more stronger, or more strong even. So I was like, right, I'm going to have a shower, wash my hair. So that's all done. And then we just watched 4 weddings and a funeral. This was me bouncing around on my ball. And then it kind of got to like 11 o'clock at night, and I was like, I swear I need to go to hospital now. These are like every 3.5 minutes or so. So we called triage, and they're like, no, your wife's still talking. No, it's not time to come in yet. Go back, try and get some sleep. And I was like, what? This is labour, right? And then went to bed, woke up at 1, so I had like a 2-hour sleep, and then lay there, and I was like, it's getting quite painful now, or quite uncomfortable even. And then I lay there just reading positive affirmations on like the Positive Birth Company Instagram page, just being like, I'm not going to wake my husband up because this is not time. And then it got to like 2 a.m. I was like, I have to wake him up, put the TENS machine on, and then I was just walking around the house. I was like, no, it's time to go. And then, so we called the hospital, because they were like every 2.5 minutes and a lot more intense than what they were previously. And so I was like, I can't last any longer. Kind of, kept going to the loo, because suddenly the body's just like, right, let's get rid of everything in here. And then we got to hospital about 3:30, and there's just me just leaning over this sofa in the waiting room being like, oh God. But then after being seen in triage, I realised actually, well, they checked me out and I was 3 centimetres dilated. And they're like, right, that's really good, but you're going to have to go back home. And I was like, great. I just wanted to cry at that point, because I was like, this has got to be like full-blown labour. Surely the baby's coming soon. And no, you'll go home, you'll labour, and you'll labour better at home and you'll be able to come in. I was like, okay, cool. And because also my surgeries are only lasting 45 seconds, which is like they need to last a full 60. I was like, okay, midwife knows best, let's do this. So, and also like she said, oh, I can see your waters are there as well, they're ready to burst. Oh God. So I had like one of those giant pads in the car to sit on. I was like, God, are they going to go? He's like, what was if the waters go in the car? I was like, don't know, do I jump out the car? Like, or would you just accept it? I don't know. So I got home and we've got 2 cats as well. So surgeries are coming in a lot stronger. And I'm just like rolling onto this ball on the floor in the lounge, and like I've got 2 cats just staring at me. And the next thing I know, with one contraction, I just throw up all over the floor, and then the cat tries to come and eat it. Like, no, this is horrible. And then I think we managed to stay at home for like, it said to stay for 2 hours, but I think we got to about an hour 45, and I was like, I can't do this any longer. So went back to Kingston Hospital, and then I'm in their reception room, and there's a couple next to me who have obviously come in for a planned C-section, and they're just sitting there nice and quiet because obviously she's not in labour. There's me just being like, whoa, just like rocking for, this hurts so much, like in the middle of reception. And I just like, I apologise, like between contractions, I'm so sorry. But it's so weird because like everyone in the hospital just walks around as if it's not, because it is normal. But like it's not often you see a woman going into labour, and like all the noises they make and everything. So went in to triage, got assessed again, and they were like, oh, you're 5 centimetres, right, let's go start filling up the birth pool. And so I went in, and I had a student midwife there as well. And I was just like, I sat down on the bed in there whilst they were doing, and then suddenly my bloody show came out, and I was like, this is normal, right? This is normal. And they're like, yeah, it's fine. And they gave me the gas and air, and ideally it was more comfortable standing up, but I just couldn't stand up with the gas and air, and I was like, there's no way my husband's going to hold me right now. So I was like, I'm just going to lie down. And then yeah, it just felt like forever as that pool was filling up. Because I remember her head was just above my pubic bone, and I could just feel this like searing pain. I was like, oh my God, this is awful. But as soon as I got into that pool, oh my God, it felt amazing. Suddenly just like relaxed. Obviously the gas and air helped a bit as well. Although there was one point where she tried to switch the gas and air over to the new site, and it wasn't fully in, so I had a contraction without it, which was interesting. But yeah, so I was just in there just like rocking forwards and backwards with the contractions, and then suddenly like it felt like my body wanted to push, and I was like, it wants me to push, and she's like, just go with it. And I was initially going through my throat, because I think I was forcing through the throat. She's like, no, send that down to your bum. I was like, what? And then I just sounded like I was trying to go for a massive poo the whole time. It was so weird. And then I think not long after that we had, see the baby's head, she's got a lot of hair. I was like, okay. And then the midwife went out to get another midwife. She said we need to have 2 present at the birth. And they're like, oh yeah, not long to go. And my husband, he said to me later, like, you kind of think, oh, not long, but you hear births last for ages, so probably got ages. But then next thing I know, I'm being told to pick my baby off the bottom of the pool, because after literally had 1 push, and then suddenly had 2 more contractions, and then she was just out. So my body just was like, let me get this baby out now. And yeah, just remember looking down, and the first thing I'd said when I picked her up was, she's ginger, because Charlie's got brown hair, I've got brown hair, both were born with, like, had blonde hair as babies, but I was like, she's quite ginger. I'm like, where's this come from? But yeah, so it was pretty magical. And then we had a little cuddle, Charlie cut the cord, and then I went onto the bed to have the injection to get the placenta out, while Olive was passed over to my husband Charlie, and she weed all over him. And he was like, am I allowed to have a shower? And they looked at him and was like, you've done no work, why do you want a shower? He was like, I'm just covered in piss. I was like, okay. But yeah, and then yeah, that 3rd stage labour took a bit of a while. My placenta didn't want to come out, and then I had a retained membrane. But yeah, it it was magical. And then got checked out to see what damage had been done. And I think that was because of working with women. I thought that was the bit that I was really nervous about, because she came out so fast. I thought 3rd degree tear or more, like what's going on? And yeah, labial and internal 2nd degree tear. And then I properly just cried because I was like, it's all over. That's it. But yeah, it was magical, because I actually had the birth I wanted, which is so, I don't want to say it, I find it's really rare. I don't know, but like I was just, yeah, I think I was expecting the worst. The induction was in the forefront, so I was just grateful to have anything that wasn't that. Not that an induction is bad or anything, but I was kind of nervous around it. And yeah, it was just wonderful. And then yeah, just got wheeled around in our COVID-free bubble, went through the hospital, back to the postnatal ward, and yeah, there we go.
Amazing. It gives me goosebumps to hear, because I just love the fact that you had such a positive and empowering experience. And it really is an experience, your birth, that does just stay with you forever, doesn't it? Like making those memories. And you must have just felt like the most beautiful, strong and incredible woman in that moment when you had just birthed your baby.
It is really empowering, because you're like, I did that. You look at it and you're like, that baby came out of me. It's like, you don't understand how it can do that, even though I know, like, you see that obviously it does happen. You're like, how the hell did that baby come out of there? And how the body knows what to do. That's the other bit, because for like your whole life, for like up until you decide to get pregnant and have a baby, like your body, just that part of the body just like lies dormant. And then suddenly it's like, right, we're going to push this baby out. You get contractions, and how it does that, it's mind-blowing. And yeah, you're just full of all those endorphins. And yeah, it's a pretty mean feat. Women are pretty powerful.
They are, exactly. And that's such an important message, I think, for any expectant mums listening, is that no matter what your birth might look like, so it might mirror Em's, or it might be really quite different from Em's, but actually understanding your body, and therefore being able to make really informed decisions about your birth, and understanding what your body's doing, and how, if you are experiencing any medical intervention, how that is aiming to support your body in those processes, really does help you to have a positive experience. And your birth can be empowering and positive, regardless of kind of how that looks for you. You should always feel that amazing superwoman feeling afterwards, for sure.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Women are so strong. There's no way a man could do that.
Oh my goodness. I would have been out of a job years ago, Em, if it was down to men to give birth.
Yeah.
Oh, women's bodies, they just are amazing, aren't they? Now, Em, with your birth, so obviously you did some of your labouring process at home, and then some of that in the birth centre in the pool. What was the environment that you created? Did you consciously create a certain type of environment, or did it just kind of happen because it was quite speedy for you?
So at home, I just read that what make as much oxytocin as possible. So I watched Four Weddings and a Funeral. I think we did a Hugh Grant marathon in the lead up to her birth. So we were About a Boy, Bridget Jones, Four Weddings and a Funeral. They're literally every Hugh Grant film possible. It's great. And yeah, dimmed the lights, but I quite like the lights dimmed at night time anyway. And yeah, I think our home's quite relaxing anyway, quite nice environment. And then in the hospital, to be fair, like in the birthing suite, it's all got fairy lights everywhere, nice dim light. It's just a really nice atmosphere. My husband described it as like a posh hotel room. He was like, it's great. So to be fair, there wasn't really much. And then the car journey, I think we just put some nice chilled music on, really. So
that's amazing, because actually it is creating that, I always say, like that Sunday afternoon kind of cozy, comfortable, safe feeling. And that's what you want for all the oxytocin. So like your dim lighting, distracting yourself with a film that you've seen before, so you don't have to concentrate on the plot.
Yeah,
it's just kind of familiar and that warm fuzzy feeling is exactly what we want to create, isn't it? And that can happen in any setting. So often women do start their labours at home like you, so that's brilliant. And then that can transfer into a birth centre or a delivery suite, or even a theatre setting if that's where your birth ends up. You know, that dim lighting, that music, fairy lights, all of those things that make you feel great, you can transport with you.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. Did you eat and drink throughout your labour, Em?
Do you know what? Birthing snacks, or like whatever, I can't think what, basically hospital bag snacks, there we go.
Yeah.
Are the hardest thing to think of, because you're like, what do I want in that moment? And I stupidly was like deliciously edibles with like the nut butter in. I was like, I love those. That's quite healthy. It's got a lot of energy in. Great, I'll get one of those. Obviously, I had chocolate as well, but I was like, didn't really fancy chocolate. So I was like, right, grab me one of those. Could not eat it between contractions. And it was because your mouth is so dry from the gas and air. You're just like, so I had to like just try and swallow it down before the next contraction with water. I was like, I can't do this. So didn't eat much during the birth. That night we had pasta, and then like afterwards we actually ended up getting Wagamama's takeaway that evening, because in Kingston, like, the delivery is a lot better than around here where we are. So I made the most of that.
Yeah, so, definitely. I feel like a takeaway after you've birthed your baby is like a go-to for most parents.
That food would never taste so good.
Definitely a good shout. So how has postpartum life been as a new mum, and also as a business owner? Because I know you have taken a short period of time off, but you've still been really, really keen to keep in touch with your clients.
Yeah, so God, do you know what? No one tells you how hard those, I think, first 10 days are after giving birth, physically. I was really surprised. Obviously, your body's gone from having a baby like in it to just kind of being a little bit empty, and also it's birthed a baby out. So, and it's quite an extreme bit of exercise. So standing up for like up to 10 minutes would just exhaust me. So you kind of just spend a lot of that time on the sofa. But I took it really easy in terms of recovery. I really wanted to make sure that I was doing it properly, because your body needs a lot of rest and recovery in those early days, especially. So I had Charlie doing most of the nappies, so I didn't have to get up all the time and like carry her. So yeah, that was really tough. But after that first walk I went for was wonderful. Although I think we might have gone a little bit too far than I should have done. And I think I still had quite a bit of blood coming out. So I was like, oh my God, I've just wet myself walking. And then we went back and got back. I was like, oh no, just a load of blood. It's okay. But there is that as well. So yeah, I found the struggle to adjust to not being able to do as much was hard, because you're constantly, in those early days especially, you're just constantly feeding and have a baby on you, and you can't really do anything else because you just, So I really struggled with that. Especially as soon as I felt physically able to, I was like, this is really frustrating. I can't, there's only so much Netflix I can watch right now. And then, but then you kind of feel a bit more human as time goes on, and that's great. And you kind of find your feet. And I think now we've kind of found our feet a little bit. I mean, I'm really lucky to have my husband around all the time, which is really handy. So we've learned that we each need time alone, time as a 3 and time as a 2. So we're trying really hard to do that. But again, like, we've had moments where, dinner is one of us holding a baby, one of us eats, and then we take it in turns. So it's all that kind of stuff. And then business-wise, I mean, I was planning on not working until the end of February, beginning of March. But now with all this, I'm like, well, I might as well start back at work a little bit earlier, and then just see if I can do a bit more maternity leave further down the line, so I can actually enjoy some time with Olive. So, I mean, with everything going on, I've just been staying active online, writing blogs, because there's so much to talk about pregnancy and postpartum, and a lot of people are really interested in it. So I've been doing a lot of that. And then also planning a few things here, because we've got things like glamping coming, hopefully, potential retreats, and then also the studio that we've been doing, like the next stage of development of that. So that's been fun, and that kind of gives me that headspace to feel a bit more like me, because yeah, it's quite nice to have something to do, but also trying.
That's a really good point, isn't it, Em? Because it is really easy as a new mum to get completely caught up on your baby. And of course, we want to treasure all those moments and do that. But it is really important to look after you as well, isn't it? And do a little bit of something for you and to remember your identity.
Yeah, I mean, I think 3 weeks postpartum, I went and had a manicure, and that was the last time the nail bars were open around here. So, but that was wonderful. But I'm not going to be getting that for a while. I'll just have to let them grow out.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I really hope later on down the line, though, that, like you said, you can then take a little mini maternity leave break and go and have brunch with friends and get your nails done and do all those things you envisage in your maternity leave.
Yeah.
Definitely. Now, for anyone who is interested in your, it's called The Barn KT9, isn't it? Your business.
Yeah. So the studio we've got is the Barn KT9, because that's the postcode, so it kind of just gives people an idea of where we are. So we do personal training, small group training as well, mostly women focused really, because that's who I work with. And although I've not kind of shut off the classes to men, it just seems to be who we've attracted, which is lovely. And then we also run space for weddings here, because we're still inside Greater London, or like the London boundary, but we're on a farm in Surrey, which is lovely. So yeah, we've got glamping, and then a few more exciting plans coming, which I can't really talk about just yet. Okay. But yeah, no, it's pretty wonderful.
Oh, it sounds like an idyllic place to bring up little Olive. And I know just from seeing your Instagram, you've got like a gorgeous fireplace, haven't you? And it just looks beautiful. So amazing. Yeah. And as I said, I'll link your Instagram in the bio so people can check that out, because it's amazing the work you're doing, and that support for women is just so important. So huge thank you.
Thanks.
Now, Em, I also noticed on your Instagram that you have seen a pelvic health physio or a women's health physio.
Yes.
Postpartum. How has that been? Because I am a massive advocate for the fact that physio for women post-birth, or even in pregnancy, even better, should really be mainstream. Because if you had like a muscle tear to your, I don't know, your knee, or I've had hip surgery, you know, that kind of damage to a part of your body, you would have this like standard NHS physiotherapy sort of recovery process. But when it comes to birth and kind of perineal tears or caesarean wounds, it's a bit like, well, off you go, you just had a baby. You know, there isn't that.
I had a massive rant about this yesterday, because I also had my 6-week check yesterday. But going back to women's health physio, I think everyone should have a pelvic health check. Like, it's so important, because your body's been through a lot, and too often women kind of just get on with things, being like, oh, I'm meant to wean myself after birth, or this is meant, I've had a baby, so, you know, this is what happens now for the rest of my life. And it's like, no. I had one at 20 weeks pregnant as well, because I just wanted to see that I was doing the pelvic floor okay, and just to kind of assess. But yeah, I had it a couple of days ago, and it's just really handy, because they look at you from like a musculoskeletal position as well, so like checking like how your hips working, back, rotation, like all that kind of stuff, and glutes and core firing, and then also test your pelvic floor, check for prolapse, and just talk about any other issues, which is just brilliant. I think since posting about it, I think people in Bulgaria, Belgium, France and Austria all have pelvic health ingrained into their postpartum healthcare, whereas here you get a call from the GP that pushes you, being like, okay, so contraception, and I'm like, I've just given birth like 6 weeks ago. The last thing I want to do is talk about contraception. And they just, like, people have messaged me saying, I mean, mine was over the phone, but people have messaged me saying theirs in person, like the doctors refuse to look at their stitches or check them out or check for diastasis or any of these things. And I know GPs have to have like a wide range of ideas. It's just a bit rubbish really, because there's quite a bit of tie between depression and like pelvic floor dysfunction as well, which is, so like actually, yes, you get postnatal depression, but there are things that may be causing that, so it'd be good to get those nipped in the bud. And like, women deserve more attention than that, because if you broke your leg, for example, you'd get referred to a physio straight away regardless. Whereas, oh, you've had a baby, yeah, that's perfectly normal, off you go. So,
yeah. Oh, and you're totally preaching to the converted. Like, I couldn't agree more. It's so important, isn't it? And I think as well, we think of pelvic health or women's health physios as just telling you how to do your pelvic floor, but like you described, it's so much more than that. It's your whole core connection, it's your diastasis, it is partly your pelvic floor, but how that connects to all of the other parts of your body, you know, even your breath. It's a whole body kind of MOT, isn't it, in that postpartum period? It's so important. So
exactly,
it's great to touch on that. And for ladies who perhaps aren't sure how to navigate this, if you look on the NHS Squeezy directory, you can search via your postcode for all of your local NHS and private pelvic health physios. So you can find a list on there, but they are worth their weight in gold, and we need to start raising the lid so that people know about them. So thanks for sharing your story on that as well. I know I threw you on the spot a little bit there.
No, that's fine. Feel free to throw me on the spot. But yeah, and also like, the thing is, it's not the most accessible thing in terms of cost, which I think a lot is an issue. But if people do experience symptoms, you can push for a referral, so it is worth that. But then there are also so many great tools out there as well that will help people rehab their pelvic floor and like give them more information, and like all those wonderful women's health physios like Claire Bourne as well, who you've had on your podcast, like following them and like absorbing all their information is really handy.
Yeah, Claire's amazing, isn't she? And she's on season 1, I think. I want to say episode 4 or 5, but yeah, checking out her information. She does loads of great stuff, and she does videos about kind of scar massage in the postpartum and all sorts as well. So yeah, that's one good thing I suppose that's come out of COVID, Em, is that people are putting so much more free resources out on the web. So actually you can gather so much information really accessibly, just making sure you get it from the right people, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true actually.
Everyone's an expert on Instagram.
I know. Oh.
Now, everyone that comes on the podcast, I just ask for 3 top tips, and I wondered whether you could share 3 top tips to an expectant mum or parent who is currently preparing for their birth.
This is a really tough question. Yeah. So I was like, what do I want? So I think the first one for me, I'm a bit of a neat freak. So I'd say clean the house and kind of embrace that nesting feeling, because if you're anything like me, you'll hate mess, and coming home to a messy house. So like coming home to a tidy house after you've given birth is just, and everything all just like, oh, this is really nice. And also you really shouldn't have to, or you shouldn't ideally lift a finger for at least a week or 2 postpartum, so your body can fully recover and rest, because like hoovering requires a lot from the body. For example, like you should not be hoovering for a good few weeks. I think the second one, I guess, is don't buy too many cuddly toys, or don't buy any. It sounds really strange, but we have so many cuddly toys. It's something I didn't think people would ever buy us, but our room upstairs is overflowing with them, which is wonderful. And actually, do you know what? The generosity of friends and family is just incredible in those, like, when a baby comes along. And also like signing up to things like Cook, who do like a 10% new parents discount, was amazing. So we've had quite a few of those freezer meals. Like, just don't expect to cook anything elaborate in those first few weeks. Just have all the nice ready meals on site. And then I think the third would be just enjoy the time as just your new little family unit. Although I really was like, I really want to be able to see all my friends and everything. And I saw two or 3 friends in that time before, when we were allowed to. Although it's lovely, it is absolutely exhausting. And I had one of my friends who came around, she was like, don't feel like you need to get dressed, put any makeup on, don't even feel need to shout or entertain me. Like, I can just turn up, drop the stuff off that I'm going to give you and leave, like, because it is exhausting having to like kind of operate as a human in those early stages. So just try not to expect too much from yourself, and just understand that some days you won't get anything done. Like, we've had washers in the washing machine that have been in there for 3 cycles and still not been hung out. So it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of my 3 top tips, if you can call it that.
Oh, I love that. And it is that thing, isn't it? It's getting rid of that perfectionism, sorting out your priorities, and just looking after you and your baby, and nurturing those memories that you're making, and getting rid of all that unnecessary pressure that we all put on ourselves as women, don't we?
Exactly.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much for letting me steal some time of yours and away from little Olive. I'm really, really grateful. And I know that your story will really help so many women as they prepare for their birth to hopefully just feel a bit more relaxed and positive and proud of their bodies.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Pip. It's been lovely chatting.
Oh, pleasure. You take care.
You too, darling. Thank you.